The SMG meta is more nuanced than ever. Some argue only a couple of guns are viable, while others believe almost any SMG can be effective. To separate fact from opinion, we've tested every SMG's performance in depth to create a definitive benchmark, a tier list that establishes which guns are fundamentally powerful and which ones are simply meta of the moment. Here's how we're ranking them. S tier are the meta-defining weapons, the absolute best guns in the game. A tier are the top tier choices, excellent guns that can win in almost any lobby. B tier is for viable weapons, solid choices, but they come with clear trade-offs. C tier covers the niche picks, usable but usually outclassed by better options. And finally, D tier is the needs above category, the guns that are basically irrelevant right now. Following the in-game order, we're starting with the RUS-79U. The RUS was once the benchmark for all SMGs, and when you look at the stats, it still seems perfect. The mobility numbers are solid. You get a 6.71 meters per second sprint speed, a competitive 4.47 meters per second strafe speed, and a fast 177 millisecond ADS time. The handling is where it truly excels. You get a large 50-round magazine, the recoil is smooth, and most importantly, there's almost no aim shake, making it incredibly steady. So, what's the problem? It all comes down to its damage. In today's meta, it just doesn't kill fast enough. Against the top tier SMGs, the RUS consistently loses gunfights. And for that reason, it has to go in C tier. The Chickum. It has a reputation for being one of the worst guns of all time, but it's not the complete catastrophe it used to be. It has a large 51 bullet magazine, and because it's a burst weapon, there's basically no recoil and the iron sight is steady. Its biggest weakness was always its damage, but even that has improved. It can now reliably one burst up to 13 meters, and it's a 4-shot kill out to 30 meters, which is surprisingly decent. So, the Chickum is no longer a joke. But is it a viable SMG? No. In a category dominated by fully automatic weapons, even a decent burst gun can't compete. While it might be a C tier burst weapon, as an SMG, it's fairly in D tier. The PDW-57 might not be on everyone's radar, but in the EU, it's famous for being the iPad player's favorite SMG. And for a good reason. Its biggest advantage is simplicity. It has virtually no recoil and a clean, steady iron sight, which means you can focus entirely on your aim. Now, its damage isn't the fastest, but it's very reliable, with a 240 millisecond time to kill out to 26 meters. It compensates for that damage with incredible mobility, especially its 4.43 meters per second strafe speed. This makes the PDW a pure ray gun. You just point, shoot, and strafe. It's a straightforward and deadly combination, easily earning it a spot in A tier. But even a powerful A tier weapon can't save you if your connection decides to lose the fight for you. But often, the thing that really determines who wins isn't the gun at all. It's your connection. So I compared the data from gameplay with and without ExitLag Mobile's new app, which is our sponsor for today's video. Essentially, it finds a private, more direct route for your game's data to the server, which is how it cuts down on instability. Without ExitLag Mobile, the connection was extremely risky. At one point, it randomly spiked to 84 milliseconds, and I spent 3 whole seconds with a high ping disadvantage. That randomness is what gets you killed. With ExitLag Mobile on, the difference is obvious. My connection became twice as stable, my high spike was only 40 milliseconds, and I spent 0 seconds with a disadvantage. The numbers prove it. This is about taking control so your skill, not your connection, decides the fight. You can try ExitLag Mobile for free for 3 days using my link or the QR code on the screen. Use my code KITH for over 15% off a subscription. Stop leaving your matches to chance, and a huge thank you to ExitLag Mobile for sponsoring this video. Their tech works on over 800 games, so you're covered there too. Alright, with that in mind, let's move on with the tier list. The Razorback is often called a PDW version 2, and it does have similar range and mobility. But the moment you use it, the comparison falls apart. The handling is a clear downgrade. The iron sight is poor, there's significant aim shake, and the recoil is far less controllable than the PDWs. And that's the core problem. Why would you ever use a worse version of an A tier weapon? The Razorback is decent, but in the hyper-competitive SMG category, decent isn't good enough. It belongs in D tier. Next, we have the MSMC, the original close quarters SMG. This gun practically invented the CQB archetype. It follows that classic formula, a blazing fast fire rate and horrible handling, all designed for a quick time to kill up close. But where the MSMC improves on the formula is its mobility. It is incredibly fast, with a 6.8 meters per second sprint speed and a 4.4 meters per second strafe speed. Magazine stats are what you'd expect. 40 bullets with a quick 1.2 second reload. This gun is almost top tier, but it's held back by one critical flaw. It has a dead zone. Between 10 and 20 meters, its damage becomes inconsistent. In that specific range, it will lose to the meta guns. It's a solid weapon, but that weakness lands it in B tier. Next is another old school gun, the HG40. This was a meta king back in 2020, but today, it's just a washed up Bison. For a flex SMG, its mobility is slow at just 6.2 meters per second sprint speed and 3.4 meters per second strafe. The Bison is faster. Its damage profile is deceptive. A 4-shot kill out to 35 meters sounds great, but a slow fire rate results in a 270 millisecond time to kill, which is just too slow to be competitive. The Bison kills faster. Even the handling, which is pretty good on its own, is still a step behind the Bison. There's just no reason to use this gun when a better version exists. It has to go in C tier. The Pharaoh is another gun that once was a top tier weapon back in 2020. Today, however, it's a completely different story. Frankly, almost everything about this gun is terrible. The mobility is so slow, it's barely worth mentioning. The magazine stats are poor, and the handling? For a burst weapon, it's an apocalypse. The recoil is high and random, and despite a clean iron sight, the aim shake is severe. There's almost no reason to use this gun except for one. In extremely close quarters, the Pharaoh shreds. It fires a 4-round burst, but only requires 3 bullets to kill. This means you can miss one shot in your burst and still instantly delete your opponent. But being a one-trick pony isn't enough to make a gun viable. This goes straight to D tier. The GKS. This gun was a monster in its prime. A staple in competitive play, famous for that legendary unicorn skin. On paper, the stats are still top tier. It has an incredibly fast 200 millisecond time to kill out to 25 meters, a decent strafe speed for a flex SMG at 3.9 meters per second, and solid mag stats with 40 bullets and a quick reload time. So, why isn't it meta? The problem is its handling. The recoil is irregular and moves unpredictably side to side, making it feel inconsistent in fights. But its biggest issue isn't its recoil. It's the existence of the USS-9. The USS-9 does the exact same job as the GKS, but it's more consistent and far easier to control. Because a better version exists, the GKS lands in B tier. The Cordite was once famous for its incredible hipfire. Nowadays, it's almost completely forgotten, and the big reason is its inconsistent damage. You only get a 4-shot kill out to a very short 13 meters. While you can maintain a decent time to kill up to 36 meters, the damage feels random and often loses to more reliable guns. So, if the damage is a problem, why use it? The answer is one overwhelming strength: its magazine. The Cordite has a massive 80-round magazine with a fast 1.4 second reload. This allows you to challenge multiple enemies in a way no other SMG can. You can realistically take on a 1v8 without reloading. That unique ability makes it a solid weapon, but because of its inconsistency, it can't beat top-tier flex SMGs like the PDW or Bison. It's a good gun, and it lands in B tier. Alright, now for a gun I personally love, the QQ9. It's often called the HVK30 of SMGs because, on the surface, its stats seem average. Its most probable time to kill is unremarkable, and it only has a 30-bullet magazine. But those numbers are deceptive. The real story is its potential time to kill. With the right shots, you're looking at a 160 millisecond time to kill out to 16 meters. That is not average. It is one of the fastest kill times in the game, and it has the stats to back up that aggressive potential. Mobility is high with a 6.6 meters per second sprint and 4.1 meters per second strafe speed. But what makes it truly special is its quick 206 millisecond ADS time, combined with the lightning fast 100 millisecond sprint to fire time. This makes the QQ9 an absolute monster in skirmishes. Those fights where you catch an enemy while you're sprinting. It's a high skill weapon that goes straight to A tier. The Fennec is another personal favorite, and it's the definition of a CQB specialist. This gun is built around one unbelievable stat: a fire rate of 1111 RPM. That absurd speed gives you a 216 millisecond time to kill up close, with a forgiving 270 millisecond time to kill in its second range. Now, its general mobility isn't the best for an SMG, but the Fennec doesn't need it. It only cares about the stats for its specific job. Its sprint speed is a solid 6.6 meters per second, and most importantly, its hipfire accuracy is incredible. When you pair that tight hipfire spread with its insane fire rate, you create an unstoppable killing machine at point-blank range. It's tricky and unforgiving, but in the right hands, it's an easy A tier. Alright, the AGR 556. This is another gun people often accuse us of hyping up, so let's set the record straight. Statistically, this gun is an absolute monster. The range is phenomenal, with a 4-shot kill out to 34 meters and a 5-shot kill out to 51 meters. The mobility is top tier, with a standout strafe speed of 4.3 meters per second. To top it off, it has a huge 60-round magazine with a quick 1.7-second reload. On paper, those are S-tier stats. But it all falls apart with the handling, and saying the handling is terrible is an understatement. The recoil draws a difficult S pattern, the iron sight is a mess, and it shakes like a tree in the wind. This gun has S-tier potential locked behind F-tier handling. If you can master it, it's incredible. If you can't, it's frustrating. Because we can control it, we're placing it in B tier, but for many, it might feel like a C. When the QXR was first released, it was a monster, but after several nerfs, it's been left in a very awkward place. At first glance, the stats look decent. Mobility is solid, with 6.5 meters per second sprint speed, 3.8 meters per second strafe, and a quick 206 millisecond ADS time. The time to kill also seems competitive. A 4-shot kill at 180 milliseconds out to 12 meters, and a 5-shot kill at 240 milliseconds out to 32 meters. But those time to kill numbers are a lie in any real gunfight. The QXR is crippled by an awful leg multiplier. This means a single bullet hitting the legs can turn that 4-shot kill into a 5-shot, or a 5-shot into a 6-shot, completely destroying its consistency. You simply can't rely on a gun that punishes you so heavily. That unreliability makes it a clear C tier. Up next is the PP19 Bison, and let's be clear, this is the single best weapon for beginners, no questions asked. It's designed to be incredibly forgiving. The handling is amazing with almost no recoil, it has a massive 64 bullet magazine, and the mobility is top tier with a 6.4 meters per second sprint speed and a very fast 4.4 meters per second strafe. But don't mistake easy to use for weak. The Bison's real strength is its deceptively powerful damage. It gives you a consistent 5-shot kill all the way out to a ridiculous 37 meters. But if you hit the upper body, it becomes a 4-shot kill. And under 10 meters, it can 3-shot if you hit the chest and arms with all 3 bullets. This combination of forgiveness and power makes it a fantastic choice for any player. It's an A-tier gun for everyone, and an undisputed S-tier for beginners. Now for the MX9. For anyone who played during its prime, this gun needs no introduction. It was, without question, the most dominant weapon in the history of the game. After being nerfed, it's no longer the absolute king, but its core stats are still insane. You get a 210 millisecond time to kill out to 24 meters, and the mobility is still god tier, with a strafe speed around 5 meters per second and 150 millisecond ADS time. So what's the catch? The nerfs absolutely destroyed its handling. The iron sight is horrible, the recoil is chaotic, and the gun shakes like hell. This makes the weapon's raw power incredibly difficult to control and inconsistent. It's a gun with S-tier potential locked behind terrible handling. If you can manage that chaos, it remains one of the best off-meta picks in the game. It's a solid A tier. The CBR4 was never a broken weapon like the MX9, but it had one of the longest meta reigns in history, staying competitive for about 2 years. It recently got a buff, but it's still nowhere near its former glory. The reason is a fundamental identity crisis. Let's look at its damage. It has a 4-shot kill, but only out to 14 meters. That drops to a 5-shot at 21 meters, and a 6-shot at 31 meters. That is the damage profile of a close quarters weapon. But the CBR4 is built like a flex SMG. It has good mobility, but it's missing its single most important stat for a CQB gun, a fast ADS time. It has a close range damage model without the close range handling to back it up. It's a fun pick, but not reliable for high level ranked play. The CBR4 lands in B tier. Next up is the PPSH-41, a gun that, on paper, should be a monster. Its magazine stats are phenomenal, with a huge 65 round capacity and a rapid 1.2 second reload. The mobility is decent, and the damage potential is incredibly high, provided you avoid hitting the legs. So, with stats like these, why isn't it meta? Because the handling is a complete disaster. While the iron sight is surprisingly clean, The recoil is an uncontrollable mess, making the gun's power basically impossible to exploit in a real fight. All of that potential is wasted if you can't hit your target. The PSH is a gun that needs a buff just to be considered usable. It's a textbook D-tier weapon. Next is the MAC-10, sometimes called the Baby Fennec. Just like the MX-9, it was one of the most dominant guns you've ever seen. Nowadays, we're left with a gun that moves insanely fast and could kill fast, but suffers from terrible BSA. And when I say it moves fast, I mean it has the best mobility in its class. 4.96 meters per second of stray speed and 6.8 meters per second of sprint speed. When I say it could kill fast, it has a 200 millisecond time to kill up to 19 meters and a 250 millisecond time to kill up to 22 meters, and that's not even factoring in its slow bullet velocity. But having an accurate BSA range of only 19 meters isn't helpful. It makes the gun incredibly inconsistent. If that wasn't enough, while the recoil goes straight up, it climbs too fast, making it difficult to handle. This is a C-tier gun, but it absolutely needs a BSA buff. Next is the KSP-45, which holds a unique title. It's the only burst weapon to have ever been truly meta dominant. And when you look at its stats, it's easy to see why. Even today, almost everything about it is still top-notch. The handling is perfect, with no recoil and a clean iron sight. The mobility is elite, with a 6.7 meters per second sprint speed and an incredibly fast 4.8 meters per second strafe. So, what happened? A single targeted nerf over 2 years ago hit the one thing that held it back: its damage range. Inside 16 meters, it still has lethal one-burst potential, provided you avoid the legs. But beyond that range, the damage drops off significantly. It's a former champion that's still the best in its own category, but can no longer compete at the highest level. As the best burst SMG, it lands in B tier. Next, a gun that just about everyone loves, the Switchblade X9. It's popular for one simple reason: it is practically flawless. Let's just go down the checklist. The damage is great, with a 213 millisecond time to kill up to a very competitive 23 meters. The mobility is top tier, with a 6.8 meters per second sprint speed and a 4.5 meters per second strafe. The handling stats are perfect for aggressive play, combining a 228 millisecond ADS time with a very fast 150 millisecond sprint to fire time. Even the magazine is ideal, with 41 bullets and a quick 1.1 second reload. There are no issues here. It's a lovely gun. But in the SMG category, just being lovely isn't enough to make it S tier. It's not broken. It's just really, really good. Easy A tier. After the perfect all-rounder that is the Switchblade, we have the Lapa, which is the definition of a niche weapon. On paper, its stats are incredible. It has a solid 240 millisecond time to kill out to 20 meters, and its mobility is God tier, with a blazing 4.8 meters per second strafe speed. So why isn't everyone using it? Because it's crippled by two of the worst design flaws in the game. First, the iron sight is, without exaggeration, the worst you'll see in this entire video. Second, if that wasn't enough, the bullet velocity is so slow that fighting anyone beyond 10 meters genuinely makes you feel like you're lagging. It's a gun with S tier stats that are completely sabotaged by an F tier user experience. It's too frustrating to be reliable. C tier. Next up is the OTS-9, which is essentially the Switchblade's imperfect twin. On the surface, it's almost identical. The damage profile, the mobility, and the general handling feel just like the Switchblade. But it has two small yet crucial flaws. First, the recoil, while still good, is noticeably less smooth. Second, and more importantly, to make the gun feel truly competitive, you're forced to use an attachment slot on a visible laser. That means you're constantly revealing your precision to enemies, which is a massive tactical downside. It's 95% of an A tier weapon, but those two flaws are enough to knock it down a peg. The OTS-9 lands in B tier. The Striker 45 is a perfect example of a gun that is statistically amazing, but functionally terrible. The damage profile is excellent. You're getting a 3-tap kill up to 20 meters, followed by a 4-tap all the way to 32 meters. On top of that, its mobility is great. So, it kills fast and it moves fast. But the catch is that the recoil is a complete nightmare, making the gun's power totally unexploitable. It's irregular in every way you can imagine. Vertically, laterally, even in its speed. This brings us to a very simple question. Why does it matter if you can move fast if you can't hit your shots? All of its strengths are made completely irrelevant by its handling. Easy D tier. We have to talk about the CX-9, and we'll talk about it twice. First, the classic CX-9. It's basically a Fennec, but slightly changed. The trade is slightly better handling and mobility, but the loss in damage makes it slightly worse. Still, it's A tier. The burst CX9, however, is a whole different thing. Its damage potential is immense, with a 1 burst kill range out to 26.6 meters. The fire rate for a burst weapon is simply divine, with a 58 millisecond fire interval and a 138 millisecond burst interval. That makes the gun simply unbeatable in a gunfight. The mobility is also strong, with a 7 meters per second sprint speed and a 214 millisecond ADS time. Where this gun is terrible though is its mag size. We only have 12 bullets per mag, and we'll often need 2 or 3 to get a kill, simply because we'll often waste 1 after getting a kill. But if you can get over that, it is simply the best gun in S&D, S tier. The Tech 9 is also a burst weapon, and it's basically the scrim legit version of the burst CX9. By that, I mean it's a severely downgraded version. We've seen it in the World Champs once, though it wasn't a great success. The damages are far from the CX9. We only have 7 meters of 1 burst range, and only 18 meters for a 2 burst kill. Its mobility is good, but not as good in terms of sprint speed, which is what matters. Overall, it's not a terrible pick, but the burst CX9 is just way better. B tier. Next up is the ISO. It's not great, not awful. It has a 4-shot kill offering a 204 millisecond time to kill, but only out to 12 meters, and after that, the damage drops significantly. Even with its great mobility, decent mag stats, and honest handling with good recoil, the gun just falls short. It's completely outclassed by other close-range SMGs like the Switchblade X9, MX9, PS9, and VMP. It's C tier, and it needs a significant buff. Now for the last 2 guns, we have 2 interesting ones. First up, the USS-9. This is the flex SMG by definition. It has great, consistent range, with the 200 millisecond time to kill out to 28 meters, and the 300 millisecond time to kill all the way out to 51 meters. Mobility is good, with a 6.4 meters per second sprint speed, and a 3.6 meters per second strafe speed, and a good 224 millisecond ADS time. The handling is the most obvious part. It has little to no recoil with a steady iron sight. The sight is obstructive, but you'll get used to it. The only part that might be tricky at first is the fire rate. It's an SMG with only a 600 RPM fire rate, while most competitors have 800 or more. Anyway, no need to worry. This thing is a straight S tier. And the last gun in this tier list is the VMP, our researcher's current personal favorite and the best CQB SMG in the game. Its damage is solid up to 33 meters. It has a 186 millisecond time to kill out to 13 meters, a 248 millisecond time to kill out to 21 meters, and a 310 millisecond time to kill out to 33 meters. And at each range, you have the potential for an even faster time to kill by 1 shot. The general mobility is not its strongest point. The 6.4 meters per second sprint speed and 4.1 meters per second strafe are not insane. However, its 182 millisecond ADS time and 135 millisecond sprint to fire time clearly show it's built for a run-and gun style. The handling is insane. The iron sight is clear, not shaky, and even better than the W's. The mag stats are insane too. We're talking 52 bullets with a sub 1 second reload. You know the drill. It's the best SMG in the game currently. Straight up S tier. And that's the definitive list. But remember, an S tier gun demands S tier aim. If you're losing gunfights you know you should win, the video on the screen is the most important one you can watch next. It breaks down the 8 biggest reasons why your aim might feel off and shows you exactly how to fix them.